Anyone who watches my channel knows I don't normally write reviews or spend much time giving my thoughts on games. I generally buy them, play them incorrectly, and move on to the next one. I thought I would do a short video giving my opinion on this particular game for what it's worth. Let's talk about the app, the dreaded app, that some tabletop gamers are stating will ruin the game market forevermore, and the app is a bad thing. People complaining that it's going to be useless in 10 years because nobody's going to have the ability to drive the app, and stating that it's ridiculous that you need to have electronics or something that needs to be charged up when you're trying to play a tabletop cardboard game. In my opinion, the game is chock full of atmosphere. And the app adds to this atmosphere. It gives us ambient music and sound effects. Each time you approach something within the game, you get relevant text, story text. It pushes the story on and tells you things are happening in this mansion. Some terrible things happen in this mansion, and your investigators are constantly under threat. The mythos step, and most importantly, randomness. I have played the first scenario 3 times, and each time the game has been different. Same general story thread, but different tile placements, different puzzles, different mythos effects, different layout generally in the tiles. The app creates a story thread so that you care a little bit about your investigators, and only a little bit, not that much. It is pretty efficient, and so far, as a solo gamer, is pretty perfect. You will still need to know the rules. The app is there to manage monster damage and generally ruin your day. You still need to be playing the cardboard game, and I love it for that. 98% of my gaming time is solo, and games like this are absolutely perfect for me. Fantasy Flight will be releasing games with app support and full co-op gameplay for the foreseeable future. There's a Star Wars app coming out, and it seems that games will be coming with app support. 98% of the time, I'm a solo player, and games like this are perfect for me. Fantasy Flight seems to be releasing games with app support and full co-op mode even more. And for the foreseeable future, it looks like it's not going to change. They want to hit every part of the gaming market. And to be honest, solo play and co-op play is a massive part of the market. Not everybody can play games where you're in conflict. The fact that this game is so polished and well presented is just icing on the cake. It's superb. So some negatives: the miniatures, they're fairly clean sculpts and they look okay. The material used when casting is some fairly rubbery sort of plastic which seems to be susceptible to bending and generally losing shape. You can try doing the old trick of sticking them in a tub of hot water and then pulling them out, and then while they put them into the correct shape, and while they cool down you hopefully change their orientation, but it doesn't always work. For the miniatures, I would probably give them a rating of about 6 out of 10. Assuming that the high point is going to be companies like Games Workshop or Privateer Press, or even Cool Mini or not, because they're actually starting to produce some good quality miniatures in their board games now. The miniature bases are huge. I've no idea why. The big black bases are massive and they don't fit on the game board. There's no point in having, as far as I can tell, if you've got 2 miniatures in one space with you, that's it. They're going to be overlapping and all over the shop. I think it's a hangover from Mansions of Madness 1 with that base design. My point of view, I can't see any reason to have the bases at all, so I'm going to remove them, get them out of the game, and I'm going to stick my painted miniatures to 25mm and 40mm acrylic bases, and that will be the representation on the game board, and I'll keep the stat card on the side just so I can see the stats for reference when I'm tackling various beasties within the game. I can just look to the side and see their stat, and the miniature will be sat on the board on an acrylic base, hopefully a bit tidier and a bit closer. The investigator minis are fairly generic, fairly forgettable, nothing special about them at all, just, okay, nothing great. The quality of the card stock is Fantasy Flight. The game tiles, the card stock, the cardboard reference boards, the dice, everything is all excellent, top quality stuff. And to be honest, I don't expect anything less from Fantasy Flight, because that's what they're now setting the trend. That's what it is. The game seems to be missing a player action card, so if your investigator's already acted in this particular player investigator round, you don't know it because there's nothing to remember, make yourself remember. So I'm gonna have to make one, or hopefully something to get produced, maybe on Board Game Geek or something like that, a player action card where at least you can flip the card over, stating that from a color side to a black and white side or something like that, stating that you've actually acted with that investigator. All in all, I paid £66 for this game in the UK, delivered. Probably about $100 US that'll be, and I think it's probably about the right price point. App development isn't cheap, and some players will say they don't want the app, but this game is designed to work with the app. So in order to pay for that app development and pay for all that lovely cardboard you've got in the box, I think that price is probably about right. I happily paid it, and I'm glad I did pay it, to be honest. The co-op and solo play in this, I think, is superb. If you find this game anywhere cheaper than £66 or around $100, I'd say personally snap it up, buy it, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. There's already been 2 expansions announced at Gen Con 2016, and I'll probably be investing in both, I'd imagine, because I'm calling this one of my favourite games at the moment. It's sitting at the top of my list of games to play. I think it's worth your money, and I think it's worth your time. I'll give it a solid 8.5 out of 10.